You are all set, Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council public hearing of Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021 at 6:40. The purpose of this public hearing is to provide an opportunity for the public to comment and express their views on an application received under the Neighborhood Assistance Act. We are in receipt of one application this year. It is for the Victory Gardens Veterans Supportive Housing Solar Energy Project. We did discuss this at our last town council meeting. Legal notice was provided. I believe it was June 17th it was dated, to make sure that we are in compliance with state statute as well as town charter in moving forward with the public hearing. At this point, I know we have Frank Stellato on with us as well as Diane Stone from Human Services. Diane, do you want to give a quick synopsis of the program, and then we can open it up for public comment?
Absolutely. Thank you. Good night. So the Neighborhood Assistance Act program is a statutory program of the state administered by the Department of Special Revenue. Essentially, it allows tax-exempt organizations to submit qualifying applications for qualifying projects that they are seeking funding. That application process goes through the town. The town acts as an agent for the state in that. So that's the process that we're going through right now. That application is then submitted to the Department of Revenue Services, who will make a determination of whether it meets the statutory requirements and qualifies. At that point in time, the applicant can seek out businesses that are seeking to get a tax credit for making a cash contribution to the project. So that's the second part of the project. If they're successful in that, then they get their project funded and the business gets a tax credit. So the town's role really is one of an agent of the state. There's no financial obligation on the part of the town, and there's no real objective criteria for us to approve or disapprove an application other than it appears to meet the merits, which this application that's made on behalf of Victory Gardens does. I'm sure that the applicant can describe it much better, but it is an energy related project. As such, it would be eligible for a 100% tax credit under the program. Everything appears to be in order, so we appreciate an opportunity to have the public hearing and for council to review and hopefully approve the project so that hopefully Victory Gardens can get some funding for solar panels.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Stellato, is there anything you wanted to add? I know we did hear your presentation last week, but in case a member of the public is listening, is there anything you'd like to add?
I would just add, first of all, thank you for the detailed intro here. I think you've hit all the high points. But what we're looking to accomplish here is really twofold. One is the greening aspect of the opportunity of adding photovoltaics, which is a renewable energy source, as well as reducing operating expenses for the facility. These are low to moderate income veterans who would ultimately be the beneficiary of lower utility costs. So as much as we are a conduit to this, the goal here is really to ultimately impact families and try to keep their operating expenses down. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. I want to just go over into our attendees window to see if there's any members of the public that would like to participate in any way or ask any questions. And I don't see any members of the public right now, just NCTV, thankfully. We'll just give it a few more minutes. All right, there are no members of the public attending right now in the Zoom application. So there is no one for me to acknowledge. So I think at this point, we will call the public hearing closed at 6:45, Seeing no participation at this point, we will reconvene at 6:50 for our next public hearing. And we are looking to take action on this item this evening during our regular council meeting. Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, we're adjourned for a few more minutes, folks. We'll tune back in at 6:50.
Madam Mayor, just wanted to ask before you got started with the next public hearing, our board chair just wanted to remind you that there are a couple of appointments for our board members that have action. So just wanted to put a bug in your ear, as we say down south.
Yeah, I brought it forward to our chairman, I know, and I know Carol brought it forward to their party chair as well.
Okay.
We have not had a meeting on our side. I think we have one this Thursday evening.
Okay.
So I will bring it up at that meeting as well. Tim and I both will.
Okay. Like I said, I just wanted to put a bug in y'all's ear.
Yeah, we are aware of
You
it.
can keep on poking and prodding us. Believe me, we need all the reminders we can get. It's all right.
I know. Thank you for that.
I need all the help I can get remembering things these days, let me tell you.
Good evening, James. Can you hear me?
You're good, Bill.
Thank you.
Good evening, Bill.
Who's that?
It's Beth.
Hey, Mayor, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, doing all right. Everything's going crazy, but good. Everything
Good,
open.
crazy is good.
Yeah, everything opened Monday. It was just, it's just exciting. The whole place is just rocking and rolling. So it's nice.
That's awesome.
And we had rain, so we had 250 kindergarten, 250 kindergarten through third grade in the two gyms. We had 30 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in the preschool room. We had 14 LIT middle school kids, high school kids in the multi-purpose room, and we had an arts and crafts project going on, class going on. So it was unbelievable.
650, Mayor.
Okay. All right, we're going to get started with our public hearing. You ready, James?
All set.
Okay, I'd like to call this evening's Town Council public hearing for ordinance adoption to order at 6:50. The purpose of this evening's public hearing is to provide an opportunity for interested individuals to express their views regarding the proposed ordinance, change to the ordinance of Newington Code of Ordinances, Chapter 48 Funds, Article 9, Town Technology Fund. We are here. We did discuss this at our last town council meeting, had a presentation. The purpose really is to create a fund to handle the town's technology needs outside of the capital improvement plan. As it's been discussed, the current needs don't necessarily meet the requirements for that fund. So we are looking to create a fund outside of the capital improvement plan to handle those technology needs. That being said, if there's anyone else that has anything to add in terms of town staff, just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to leave it open for public. If you are participating in the Zoom app, you can raise your hand in the participants window, or if you're calling in, *9 in order to let me know that you're raising your hand if you have any questions or participation for this purpose. We'll just give it a minute. I see one member of the public in our window. No hands are raised at this point. I'd like to keep the meeting open just for a few minutes in case anyone comes in late and would like to participate. The last one lasted a whole 5 minutes, so we'll see how long we can last on this one. Okay, folks, I don't see any other members of the public joining for participation. So at this point at 6:55, I will close the public hearing. We have 5 minutes until we begin our regular town council meeting. Stay tuned. Hey, Mayor Z, good to see you. Oh, you're muted.
Hi, Mayor Beth. Nice to see you.
Where are you? You look like you're in some exotic place.
It's Lake Vaughan.
Oh, nice.
I'm
Very-
not really there, though.
Bummer.
I know.
We wouldn't have known, Roy.
Uh,
How you doing, Roy?
Doing okay, Dave. How about you?
Good. Long time no see.
I know. I'm hoping to be able to get out pretty soon.
All right. Me too.
Boy, I didn't realize how long 5 minutes was until it's silent.
Right.
I'm not used to being quiet this long.
It's like school detention.
Right? Not that I would know what that was like, Dave.
Proctoring it or being in it.
Once in 7th grade, I forgot my homework.
You
I did.
say it ain't so.
Science, I still remember the teacher. I just won't say the name. And then once in 6th grade, I got a detention for talking too much.
Uh-oh.
You? I can't believe that.
I know, it's a shocker.
We won't tell.
I guess if that's the worst I did, we're okay. Counselors, if you get a chance, it's not urgent, but just check your email. There's a change to something for you to note. Not for this evening.
The one I sent out, Beth?
No, Keith just
Oh.
sent it.
Oh, okay. I'm like, that one is for this evening.
Although, yes, there is a change in resolution for this evening, yes. That one too.
And we have 7 o'clock.
Okay. Is everybody on? Yep. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council regular meeting of Tuesday, June 22nd at 7 p.m. We'll call to order. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
of the
States
United
of
States of
America
America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Now we'll move on to roll call, please.
Councilor Anest, Councilor Braverman,
Here.
Councilor Budraco,
Here.
Councilor Camillo,
Here.
Councilor Donahue,
Here.
Councilor Mankey,
Here.
Councilor Minor,
Here.
Councilor Nagel,
Here.
Mayor Del Buono.
Here. All right, we have 8 members present. Just so everyone knows, Councilor Anest is out of town and unable to attend this evening. So just so we're all aware. We'll move on now to approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Mankey. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Braverman. Any discussion? Hearing none, we will move to a roll call vote, please.
Councilor Braverman,
Yes.
Councilor Budraco,
Yes.
Councilor Camillo,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
Councilor Mankey,
Yes.
Councilor Minor,
Yes.
Councilor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
Thank you. Next on our agenda this evening is proclamations and awards. We have the pleasure of having 4 proclamations this evening to go through. The first of which is in honor of the Central Connecticut Health District's 25th anniversary. I know we have Charles Brown from Central Connecticut Health District with us, and I'm looking to see, I see Kevin Borup is here, I believe, and Roy. Is there anyone else here for CCHD? I don't want to miss anyone.
Nope, I believe that's it for tonight.
Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and read the proclamation into the record. A proclamation recognizing the 25th anniversary of the Central Connecticut Health District. Whereas this month, the Central Connecticut Health District marks 25 years of service to its member towns as a regional local health department. And whereas in 1996, the towns of Rocky Hill and Wethersfield voted to form the Wethersfield Rocky Hill Health District to provide public health and environmental health services to its communities. And whereas the town of Berlin joined the health district in 1998, at which time its name was changed to the Central Connecticut Health District, and the town of Newington in 2006. Whereas the town of Newington joined the Central Connecticut Health District in 2006, and whereas the Central Connecticut Health District has provided high quality public health service to its member towns throughout its 25-year history. And whereas this anniversary gives the town of Newington an opportunity to recognize the Central Connecticut Health District, its board, director, staff, and volunteers for their service in making our communities safer and healthier, be it through tracking infectious disease outbreaks, providing mass vaccinations, preparing for and responding to natural disasters, or assuring safe food and drinking water. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Newington Town Council encourages all of our citizens to join in this celebration by acknowledging the critical role the Central Connecticut Health District has played over the last 25 years in helping our communities to achieve and maintain good health. Dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 22nd day of June, 2021, signed Beth Del Buono, Mayor. All right, I would entertain a motion to accept this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
And seconded, thank you. And we'll open it up to council discussion. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Budraco.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I'm sure out of your 25 years of service, this past year and a half has been one of the most unique and probably memorable. CCHD really stepped up. You took charge and you assisted your member communities with guidance on minimizing the risks, securing the vaccinations, and working with the towns on running the clinics. And you were able to do this not by a combination of your expertise, your careful planning, and your good communications and relations with the communities that helped us through this pandemic. But 25 years, you certainly can't just characterize your service with this one event, but it's the numerous daily routine services that you provide to the member communities over the past 25 years that serve as a really valuable regional resource in promoting and protecting the public health. So I'd like to thank you and congratulations on your 25 years, and here's to 25 more.
Thank you, Gail. Councilor Maggie?
Yes, I'd like to just echo Councilor Bedreco's comments. I would congratulate you on this milestone anniversary. 25 years is a great anniversary to celebrate. I have worked with you folks and their staff on many of the COVID vaccination clinics, and I'm impressed with the professionalism of your staff, the planning that went into running these clinics in the 4 towns, and the caring and compassion they showed to their clients, the people who came in for the vaccinations. I just, again, want to congratulate you and wish you another 25 years of success, but hopefully not the same 25 years as we had this year. Maybe things can calm down for a little bit.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Nagel?
I'd like to add my congratulations as well, having known Charles and the health district for many years, even before Charles came aboard, and seeing the excellent work that the volunteers do and the staff does under good times and challenging times, including my wife, who unfortunately had another commitment tonight. Otherwise, she'd be here Zooming with the rest of us. Wish you well, and thanks for the years, and specifically these last years where you've not only provided excellent services, but you've also provided excellent guidance to those of us in Newington and those of us who are on this council, having to help, and our town manager to help make decisions which affect all of us. Once again, congratulations. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Nagel. Charles, I just want to add my sincere thanks and congratulations also to you, to all of your directors, your staff, all the volunteers and commissioners. We've always known what a great partner you all were with us. Every year you come to us and you show us all the programs that you run. You know, the proclamation doesn't speak to not even half of what you all do. So, you know, I'm thinking about all the, the lead programs, the asthma programs, all of the community awareness programs that you do, bike helmets. Like, I'm kind of flashing back to all the previous council meetings that you've been at. But when I read the proclamation, while it's wonderful and all, it just doesn't even touch. It's not the tip of the iceberg. So I hope you know how much we appreciate you, all of you. And, this past year, while it was challenging, it really drew our attention to the strength of your organization and the collaboration that you gave to our town, with Megan and with Keith on such a regular basis, the dialogue that happened to help keep all of us safe and aware of what was going on. I really am so thankful to you and everyone. So this is a very fitting tribute. The timing is incredible that we got to celebrate you like this, but just want you to know how much we greatly appreciate you and all that you and your whole group do for our town. Thank you. I don't see any other counselors up. So Charles, would you like to say a word?
Well, just I'd like to give my opportunity to your representatives, that are here tonight to be able to make a couple of comments. My only comments that I have really is thank you for allowing us to be able to serve the town. It's been our honor and privilege to be able to serve all 4 of our communities for 25 years. And as it's been said, I'm looking forward to the next 25. With that, I'll turn it over to Kevin or Mayor Z to be able to provide any comments that they feel they would like to.
Great, thank you. I see Mayor Z, you have your hand up. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Beth, and thank you to the council on behalf of the board. We really appreciate this recognition. As was mentioned, this past year and a half really showed the value of an organization made of multiple towns working together toward a common end. One town by itself could not accomplish what the health district accomplished. And again, thank you. And to those who are watching, if you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, go do it. Listen to science, not Facebook. Thank you.
And I just want to add that, Mayor Z said it better than I think I could say it. So thank you. Great comments. And I want to extend my thanks again to all the staff at the Central Connecticut Health District who day to day have been there continuing with their routine work, which is restaurant inspections and all the other environmental health services they do, in addition to working overtime essentially in dealing with the situation over the last year with the coronavirus. So thank you, Charlie, to you and your team.
Thank you, Mr. Borup. All right. Thank you all very much. Hope you have a great rest of your evening. We have to go ahead and do an actual vote. I'm sorry, I do this all the time. We second, we discuss. Now we have to go ahead and do our roll call vote, please. Make it official.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Boudreaux,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
8-0.
Wonderful. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you again, all. Have a great evening. All right, we're going to move on. Our next proclamation is for the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, 31st anniversary. I will go ahead and read this into the record. Excuse me. Whereas the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, was signed into law 31 years ago on July 26, 1990 by President George H.W. Bush. And whereas Newington, Connecticut affirms the principles of equality and inclusion for persons living with disabilities as set forth for the state of Connecticut and as embodied in the ADA, the laws of the state of Connecticut and ordinances of Newington, Connecticut. And whereas the ADA has transformed the lives of the more than 61 million American people living with disabilities. And whereas the ADA has promoted equal access to employment, government services, public accommodations, commercial facilities, and public transportation. And whereas the ADA has prohibited discrimination against people living with disabilities. And whereas the ADA has guaranteed that people living with disabilities have the same opportunities as everyone else to participate in the mainstream of American life. And whereas the ADA Coalition of Connecticut, ADACC, has sought to educate the general public about accommodating persons living with a disability. And whereas numerous organizations in Newington, Connecticut work with constituents and communities to bring forth the promise of hope, freedom, and independence that is envisioned by the passage of the ADA. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Newington Town Council renew our commitment to empowering Americans with disabilities through equal access so they can achieve their full potential and have every opportunity to realize the American dream, while we hereby extend greetings and best wishes to all observing July 26, 2021 as Americans with Disabilities Act Awareness Day, dated in Connecticut, Newington, Connecticut, this 22nd day of June, 2021, signed Beth Del Buono, Mayor.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Braverman. Thank you. All right, we will open to council discussion. I know, Mr. DeMayo, you're here for this, correct?
Correct.
All right, is there anyone else with you? I just want to make sure I don't miss anyone.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Or
We're
maybe
gonna go ahead.
Diane Stone is, I think I saw her earlier, but I'm not sure if she's on now.
Wonderful. I see her. Yes. Great. Thank you. All right, councilors, we'll open it up for council comment. All right, I don't see any council comment. I just want to say that this is a no-brainer for us to make sure that we acknowledge this every year. The ADA Act is just an amazing act that there's no way we could ignore, for sure. And it has been a focus of this council to work on continuing to open ADA accessibility within our town and our facilities. We've been working with Mr. DeMayo on these issues that may still exist at some of our places. So we are committed to making sure that we're continuing to move forward and address any issues that are brought to us. And I had the distinct pleasure at Motorcycle Madness, Bill, I know you were there. We had I was able to give a Mayor's Choice Award, and it was pretty amazing. There was a gentleman there with his motorcycle who had built himself a platform that was attached to his bike to make his bike ADA accessible, so to speak. So he was able to drive his wheelchair up onto the platform and then get onto the bike and drive and have the platform travel with him so that he was able to get on and off and continue to enjoy the hobby that he really enjoyed. So I just thought he was the epitome of really what ADA is all about. So I was really thrilled. I told him I think he has a great business opportunity there if he wants to pursue it. But so that being said, Bill, I'll open it up to you if you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, just it's so rewarding to be able to see the town of Newington chipping in all aspects to give freedom and independence to people with disabilities, not just blindness, but hearing impaired and mobility and seizures and illnesses and diseases. It's just a great thing. And I take the opportunity to thank the town council, the mayor, and Keith Chapman, the town manager, for supporting the last few years, giving us the funding available to start making the playgrounds in every single neighborhood park and the regional parks handicap accessible. And you see the fruits of your labor at Clem Lemire with the AARP exercise equipment fit lot that we worked with the Senior and Disabled Center, Diane Stone, and also the handicap accessible playground there. And if anybody's going this year, we're doing one a year, and we have a 5-year plan with the capital improvement program. And this year you can see we're working on Beacon Park to make that a brand new handicap accessible playground. So all people can, no matter what ages, no matter what abilities, they can all play and live and work together. So it's going to be nice. So thank you to the council, the mayor, and Keith Chapman for your full commitment to the ADA.
Thank you, Bill. All right, I'm just looking to see if there's any public that wish to comment on this resolution. Let me just click over. All right, I don't see any hands up, so we will go ahead and do a roll call vote on this one, please.
Councilor Braverman,
Yes.
Councilor Boudreaux,
Yes.
Councilor Camillo,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
Councilor Menke,
Yes.
Councilor Minor,
Yes.
Councilor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
6-0.
Okay,
Oh,
wonderful.
I'm sorry, 8-0.
Thank you. All right, stay tuned, Bill. We're up for our next one is the July is National Recreation and Parks Month. So let me just switch gears. All right. I'm going to go ahead and read this one in for the record. Proclamation. NRPA, July is National Recreation and Parks Month. Whereas the Newington Parks and Recreation Department was founded in 1956 with the goal to make Newington a better place to live, work, and play. And, excuse me, whereas July is deemed National Recreation and Parks Month by the National Recreation and Parks Association, and whereas the Newington Parks and Recreation Department touches the lives of every single one of Newington's over 30,000 residents throughout their lifetime through programs, events, grounds maintenance, parks, and so much more. And whereas our mission is to bring business, education, and social services together to provide the best accessible programs, parks, facilities, and services to all people. And whereas the Newington Parks and Recreation Department has over 1,000 programs to offer to Newington residents each year that garner over 8,000 registrations. And whereas the department brings residents countless events throughout the year and has been awarded the very prestigious Program of Merit Award for their 2 largest events, the Life Be In It Extravaganza and Motorcycle Madness by the Connecticut Recreation and Parks Association. And whereas the Recreation Division accommodates over 60,000 visits annually to the Mortensen Community Center. And whereas the department has forged essential public-private partnerships with numerous organizations and businesses in Newington, Connecticut, and surrounding towns that help to make our events and programming possible. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Newington Town Council recognizes the vital role that Parks and Recreation plays in their local communities and joins with every resident of the great town of Newington to celebrate the outstanding Parks and Recreation Department's accessible programs and facilities. Dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 22nd day of June, 2021, signed Beth Del Buono, Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Braverman. All right, we will go ahead and have council discussion on this one. Any councilors? Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say that as Newington, we're fortunate to have an outstanding Parks and Recreation Department. One of the most, if not the most outstanding in the state, if not beyond the region. They bring us countless organized events and activities. I'd also like to mention that in reading up on the national observance of National Recreation and Parks Month, the association also recognizes the value of outdoor spaces and green spaces and parks. And I think we've all seen this past year and a half how our local parks were really essential throughout the COVID pandemic, because during that time of stress, stay-at-home orders, social distancing, and no organized activities, people weren't able to go to the gyms or the community center or yoga studios or have any kind of team competition. So many of our residents turn to our parks and our green spaces to provide much needed relief, mentally, physically, and emotionally, by simple things such as, walking through the park, taking the dog for a walk, or throwing a Frisbee with their children. So I actually hope that there's very little you can say positive about the pandemic, but I hope that one thing it did do was give us as a community a renewed appreciation for our public spaces, and not just the flagship parks of Churchill and Mill Pond, but also our smaller neighborhood parks who, as Bill had mentioned, many are in need of some love and attention. So again, thank you to our Parks and Recreation Department, and congratulations on this nationwide celebration.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bedrejko. Any other council comment? All right, that's a hard act to follow, speaking after Gail, but Bill, I just want to express, Gail said it very well, that we have one of the best Parks and Rec departments, if not the best in the state. Everyone in your department goes above and beyond. Staff, volunteers, I know you have a lot of volunteers also, and the partnerships you build with our community are really outstanding. And especially this past year, we saw, really rise above the traditional programs that we couldn't have, and find ways of still having programming for our kids, our residents, in remote ways and in stay-at-home ways, and developing programs where you had packets that you do it, that people could pick up or access, and craft activities and that kind of thing. I know you guys really went above and beyond, and so while we always are appreciative, this year especially drew attention to the outstanding things that you can do. I have to say those 3 events we had just last weekend were a great acknowledgement also of bringing our community together. I think people were home for so long that we had those 3 events in a row, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all 3 were extremely well attended. People were so happy to just be out in public and be able to see everyone's faces, be outside and gather. And it really was a true testament to how well our department brings together our community. So really can't thank you enough for all the work that you and everyone in our Parks and Rec department does for us each and every day. Thank you, Bill.
Yep, thank you. And I thanks for the kind words, but I give all the credit to the staff, the park staff. As far as Gail was talking about, I take a great deal of pride in being a steward of the environment. That's what we believed in when we went to school, and that's what we were taught. But the park staff, the recreation staff, the cemetery staff, these guys and gals work really, really hard, and they work endless hours. We were just tallying up the extra hours, and everyone's averaging over 20 weeks of free give back time. So it's in the year. So it's crazy what they did through the pandemic and how they performed at the highest level. And the most pride is just, I think the point that you brought up is that during the COVID-19, I mean, people they begged for those parks, and that's really true testimony to this town. And I got to give credit to Clem Lemire, who's passed on. He was the first founding father. We had a luncheon last week for Bob Stanley, a former superintendent. We invited Harold Berenz he retired, but he was a former superintendent of Newington. Bruce Dinney was there from Parks and Recreation. So a whole family of Newington Parks and Recreation staff that have graduated from what we call our program. So everybody should be promoting recreation and parks. And this proclamation should stimulate everybody for the month of July. Take advantage of the pools, take advantage of the parks, take advantage of miniature golf, train rides, special events, and just a walk in the park at Young Farm or at some of the historic valued houses and things like that. So we hope to see everybody participating in all our activities for the whole month of July. And thanks for the time.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bill. Thanks again and have a great evening.
You bet.
All right, we're going to go ahead with the roll call vote on this one, please.
Councilor Braverman,
Yes.
Councilor Budraco,
Yes.
Councilor Camillo,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
Councilor Menke,
Yes.
Councilor Minor,
Yes.
Councilor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
8-0.
Great, thank you. All right, one more proclamation. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting to ask if there was any public input on the proclamations. Let me just move over to that window and see if any member of the public wanted to speak on the Parks and Rec one. Recreation and Parks, sorry. All right, I don't see any hands up, so we'll continue onward. The next proclamation this evening is the Proclamation for Fair Housing Month 2021. So I will read that in. Resolved, whereas all persons are afforded a right to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice, and whereas federal fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and home ownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location. And whereas Connecticut fair housing laws require that all individuals, regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, sex, marital status, age, lawful source of income, familial status, learning disability, physical or mental disability, sexual orientation or gender identity or expression, be given equal access to all housing-related opportunities, including rental and home ownership opportunities, and be allowed to make free choices regarding housing location. And whereas the town of Newington is committed to upholding these laws and realizes that these laws must be supplemented by an affirmative statement publicly endorsing the right of all people to full and equal housing opportunities in the neighborhood of their choice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby endorses a fair housing policy to ensure equal opportunity for all persons to rent, purchase, and obtain financing for adequate housing of their choice on a non-discriminatory basis. And be it further resolved that the town manager of the town of Newington or their designated representative is responsible for responding to and assisting any person who alleges to be the victim of any illegal discriminatory housing practices in the town of Newington, and for advising such person of the right to file a complaint with the State of Connecticut Commission on Human Rights and Opportunities, CHRO, or the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, or to seek assistance from the Connecticut Fair Housing Center, legal services, or other fair housing organizations to protect his or her right to equal housing opportunities. Dated in Newington, Connecticut, this 22nd day of June, 2021.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Menke. And I'll open it for discussion. Nope, I'm in the wrong window. Hold on one sec. All right, I don't see any discussion. It's really a wonderful practice that we go ahead and reaffirm our beliefs in the fair housing issue each and every year. I'm glad we do this proclamation. It helps remind people that in this town, this is a priority for us, and we will follow through on any issues that may arise. I don't see any other hands up, so we will go ahead. Let me just make sure there's no members of the public that have their hands up. Let me click over. I don't see anyone with their hand up. We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote, please.
Councilor Braverman,
Yes.
Councilor Budraco,
Yes.
Councilor Camillo,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
Councilor Menke,
Yes.
Councilor Minor, Councilor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
Susan,
Counselor- Okay, thank you.
thank you. Yes.
8-0.
All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, that finishes our proclamations and awards for this evening. So now we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is public participation. Any member of the public may participate by raising their hand in the Zoom app in the participants window, or *9 if they're using their phone. Did any counselors receive any email correspondence?
I don't believe so.
I did not receive any.
Okay, thank you. I see Miss Lyons is waiting to speak with us.
Hi, it's Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I was glad to hear you ask for public participation on 3 out of the 4 proclamations. Unfortunately, the one I wanted to speak to was the first one to CCHD. Back in May of last year, I had a bat fly into my house. Had someone come in to look for it, couldn't find it, and I assumed that it had left the way it came in. Unfortunately, 3 months later, in August, I found a dead bat up in a spare bedroom. I called the state of Connecticut Health Department. They referred me to an epidemiologist who referred me to our local health department, but couldn't tell me who our local health department was or their number. Fortunately, I've been at several meetings where CCHD has been in attendance and has been given similar proclamations such as this and have given their reports. So I found their number. I called around 4:10 on a Friday afternoon and spoke with Barbara Gigliotti. I explained that the bat had flown into my house and what my situation was and asked what I could do or what they could do to help me. She said that their office could have it tested, but it was 4 o'clock on a Friday, so if I didn't get too grossed out, maybe I could refrigerate it over the weekend. My immediate response was no. At 75 years old, I'm sure that if this bat doesn't get me, something else is, and I want it out of here as soon as possible. I asked if she could have it tested for me and if I could bring it to the office, and she said she would wait for me there. And even though it was after hours, I'm sure she was there waiting for me, took all my information, gave me answers to the questions that I had as to what to do and so forth and so on. And on Monday, she called and told me that the lab informed her that the bat could not be tested because it was dead for too long. However, she again was very kind and answered some more questions that I had. And I just wanted to thank her. I had sent an email to CCHD regarding this, but I also wanted to publicly thank them for the services they provide. This is one service I hope to never have to use again, but it was something I didn't even know that they did. Once again, I want to thank CCHD for all the services that they provide to the Newington residents, Berlin, Rocky Hill, and Weathersfield, and thanks to the volunteers and those who serve on the CCHD board as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. All right. Sorry, I'm just clicking through my windows to get back to where I need to be. All right. We will move on. I don't see any other members of the public with their hands up at this point. So we'll move on to remarks by counselors on public participation. Anyone? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to consideration of old business. The first item is health update COVID-19. Mr. Chapman.
I'm pleased to report that it looks like this COVID-19 is under control, and we'll say cautiously optimistic that we'll continue to have a increase in the health of the town and a decrease in the incidence of COVID-19 occurring. We still are in some areas of the town operating with masks on in the library second floor children's area, as well as the daycare area down in the recreational area in the town hall. We would ask anybody going into those areas to try to wear a mask. And if you've not been vaccinated, we're asking that you continue to wear a mask while in any of our public buildings. But so far, so good. I think that with the help of Charlie Brown and the health district, it's really worked out well for Newington. And I really appreciate all of the help that he's given us over the last year and a half.
Okay, great. Great news. Councilor Menke?
Just a quick question. So we're still in the gray, I guess it is?
That's correct.
And we've been in the gray, how many weeks now?
About 4 now.
Oh, good. We can pat ourselves in the back for at least, I never thought we'd pat ourselves in the back for being gray, but I guess judging by my beard, I guess it's a good thing.
We were the first ones in the district to turn gray, so that's good.
Right.
That's good. I'm wondering if there is some thoughts about at the end of, a couple months down the road, having a wrap up of seeing how the health district responded to this crisis, what the outcome was, what we could do better, what we really did well, sort of like a Monday morning quarterback thing to see how we could be prepared for the next one, because I have this fear that there could be a next one somewhere down the road.
Sure. We'll get it on the agenda.
I'd also like if we could somehow get the idea of how many people in town were affected overall for the course of how many were hospitalized, how many were deceased. It'd be good information for the public, I believe.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Councilor Donahue?
Yeah, Keith, is there a color below gray, or are we just going to remain in the gray for the duration?
It's my understanding that gray basically is where we started this, 18 months ago. So we've gone for a full circle, but I've yet to be told that there's something better than gray. So I assume that we're at the best we're going to get, but we still want to be cautious. There's still COVID kicking around out there. Now a new strain is coming in. So I think gray is as good as you can get, but I think we still need to be protective of our community.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, we're good on that one. We're going to move on to the next item is the fund creation, Chapter 48 funds, Article 9 Town Technology Fund. In our memo, you'll recall that the proposed change to the language would allow for the repair and replacement of technology purchases that do not fall within the CIP guidelines. That was the purpose of making this change. We did hold the public meeting prior to this meeting, public hearing rather, regarding this ordinance change earlier this evening. And the council is being asked to act on this. Once the ordinance has been adopted, it would go into effect 15 days after publication and would be in place for the 2021-2022 budget year. I know we have Janet Murphy. I'm going to just make a blanket statement right now to everyone who's in attendance on this meeting. I have a hard time seeing all of the participants. So if you need to chime in on an issue and you're not a member of the council, but if you raise your hand, I can see that in my other window. So if anyone on the call, I know we have several different department members here. If there's an issue you want to weigh in on, just raise your hand and I'll see you then. I just can't see everybody in the participants in the picture window, so to speak. So feel free to raise your hand if you want to be recognized and I don't see you. All right, so in terms of this fund ordinance, Ms. Murphy, is there anything you want to add to what I've said?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well.
All right. All right, councilors, who would like to read the resolution in so that we can go ahead and second and discuss? Councilor Donahue.
Yeah, thank you. I decided to pick a short one tonight. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby approves the addition of the Newington Code of Ordinance, Chapter 8, Funds, Article 10, Town Technology Fund. A copy of said ordinance is attached to this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. And discussion on this. Councilor Menke, do you have your hand up for this?
Yeah, I not to criticize John's reading, but he said Chapter 8. I think it's Chapter 48, unless I heard it wrong.
Right.
Okay. Councilor Donahue, will you just amend yours? Just amend it to 48? Yes?
I will amend to Tim's recommendation of Chapter 48.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
And Dave, you'll amend your second?
I'll amend the second.
Thank you. All right. Any further discussion on this one? Councilor Nagel?
I just want to mention that by having these the separate fund, it will no longer be part of, and I realize the cost for these materials goes beyond the CIP, which we have had. That it will no longer be in CIP, which means within those CIP CIP funds, no matter how they're handled in the future, there isn't this large pressing amount of money that's needed for a vital part of our town to function. So there isn't that competition of funds within the CIP, and it is going to be looked at in a separate place, and will continue to be funded so that we don't have emergencies involving this technology that impacts other things that we wish to do in town.
Thank you. Councilor Minor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just real quick I'm not sure if Janet is aware or not. Do you know how broad the technology is? Is it specifically PCs and servers, and is it locks? Is it AV? Do you know exactly what the intent was?
It's pretty broad. It's everything from your hardware, your software, your licenses, everything, switches, all that's included in there.
Okay, and this is not for new equipment. This would be for replacement, correct?
Yes.
So not adding on, just replacing
Nope.
existing.
Nope, just replacing or repairing what we have. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other council comment or question? All right, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
8-0.
Motion passes 8-0. Counselor Anist absent. All right.
Mayor,
Yes.
just as a notice, based upon your passage this evening, the gray dates will be your adoption, advertising, and effective date of this ordinance. So by
Okay.
July 9th, it'll be in place for the new fiscal year.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. The next item on our agenda is the Neighborhood Assistance Act Tax Credit Program. Earlier this evening, we had a public hearing for this item. We received one application for the program. It was for the Victory Gardens Veterans Supportive Housing Solar Energy Project. The company is looking to put photovoltaic array on the buildings and is seeking to take part in this state assistance program. Councilor Menke, would you like to go ahead and read that in?
Certainly. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby approves the application received under Connecticut General Statute Section 12-630AA et seq. For the Connecticut Neighborhood Assistance Tax Credit Program to install a photovoltaic system installation at Victory Gardens. A copy of the application shall be attached to this resolution.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Camillo. Thank you. And any discussion on this one? Councilor Menke?
I just have one question that maybe Diane could answer for us. Going forward, if there are two applications, how do we approve? Would we approve both of them or just one of them?
You would approve as many applications as came through. There may be a dollar limit per municipality. I don't think that there is.
Okay.
Bearing in mind, you're just approving the application. DRS then has to approve this, and then the applicant has to find funders. So
Okay, so we just kind of pass it along, right? Okay.
agent of the state. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other council question or comment? Seeing none, we'll go to roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
8-0.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the Sonic Group Grant Writer Proposal. At our last council meeting, we did receive a presentation from the Sonic Group from Sonia Richmond and Nick Briere, who are with us this evening again, in case we have any questions. Their proposal included a 12-month service retainer in the amount of $24,000 and the allowance of a 2% of the grant award when the grant writer compensation was allowed. They would perform under the contract grant identification, grant writing, and RFP response and grant management and administration during the proposed 25 work hours per month or 300 hours over the 1-year trial period. They are going to spend 15 hours of the first month just determining the needs and goals for our town. There is a contract agreement that we've been able to review, and we had that discussion last week. So at this point, I would look for someone to go ahead and read this resolution in for us. All right, guys, who's willing to go ahead and read it in? It's on the screen.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Councilor Nagel.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes Keith Chapman, Town Manager, to execute the contract for services agreement with Sonic Group for grant writer services with a 1-year trial beginning July 1st, 2021. A copy of the executed contract shall be attached to this resolution.
Second. There's a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Camillo. And discussion. Councilor Menke.
Yeah, I just have a couple quick questions. Maybe they can answer for me that come up between now and our last discussion. Will they work for grants? They're going to look for grants for all departments across the town. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And the other question, will they work with our state legislatures to ensure any state grants that they may need their cooperation with to secure?
Yes, they will.
Thank you.
All right. All set, Councilor Menke?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Great. Councilor Minor?
Okay, Madam Mayor, just one quick question I had, and just on the format of the contract and structure, I'm just curious to whether or not they would be amicable to billing on a time and materials basis versus a retainage divided by 12. This way their compensation is based on what they produce and it's not going out to an RFP, if they would be amenable to that.
That would be fine with us. Absolutely. Under that agreement, we would probably want to cap, the maximum of our billable hours at 300 hours, so it was functionally the same. But to ensure that we put in the work that was, outlined in the contract, that's okay with us. Also, apologies, I have a small cold, so.
Keith, did you want to comment on that at all?
No, I think if you want to change this, then you're going to, I'd want to send it back to the town attorney for his review to make sure that it reads properly. So you probably, if you want to make that change, then I think you probably should table this until the next meeting.
I'm going to look to the council for a consensus on that. That was a suggestion by Councilor Minor.
Can you just repeat this, how that would change? I'm sorry.
The way that it's structured currently would just be taking the $24,000 and buying it by a 12-month period with equal payments monthly. What I'm suggesting would just be to keep the same cap hours as Nick just referenced and Sonia referenced in their previous proposal, but just to be able to put it to the hours that were put into the billable hours that were put forward. And just this way, there was no issue in terms of any concerns of not going out to a proposal looking to solicit, but to do this on a trial basis.
Okay, but that would still allow for, because I know for me, one of the significant attractions of this proposal, I mean, I did have several concerns, 2 weeks ago when we talked about this, but they adequately answered them. But one of the things I do think is important, if they are going to be working for the town, is the ability to do that 3 months worth of research, whatever, where to familiarize themselves with the town, the needs, the staff, what's been, I would imagine they would be asking questions, you know, what grants have we gone after? Why haven't we gotten them? What have we gotten, whatever. So we would still be able to, even though that's not technically working on a grant, that research is still important. So that would still be able to be included as billable hours.
As far as I'm concerned, it would be absolutely.
Sonia and Nick, do you have any input on the structuring of the contract in that regard and how that would either benefit or hinder the process?
So what I think is being proposed, we were going to functionally do anyways. We're going to track our hours, of course, because in order to make sure that we don't go over the cap, that would require us to track our hours in any event. And in order to be as effective as possible, we would be splitting the hours near equitably across months anyways. So in terms of functionally how we're going about working on this, it doesn't actually really change a whole lot. So I think that really is completely up to you and your accounting side, what makes most sense. I don't know, Sonia, if you have anything to add, but I know that's what we're already planning on doing, keeping track of hours. So
That's yes, that's functionally that's where we're going. We'd have to track, we'd be accountable and giving reports as requested, but we're going to track our time on each task. So you can see how we're utilizing, you know, to maximize our effectiveness. But to Gail's point, the research piece is where we're going to start. And that will be the first report that you see. And plus the hours we dedicate to that.
Okay. Janet Murphy, you're on. Is there any, in terms of the financial piece of this, is there any benefit or not to either way that we would move forward with this contract?
No, either way, financially would be fine.
Okay. Councilor Mankey?
Yeah, as long as they're tracking hours anyway and reporting it to us or to the town manager, I think I don't see the benefit to the change. I think this is obviously only a 1-year agreement, so it really is a trial trial contract. We're trying it for a year, so I think that's all built in there. I don't know the need to delay it any further. Because we're still getting the report, and it is under the it's only 24,000, so it is under the RFP cap, I believe.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Councilor Mankey. Any other councilors want to weigh in on this? Okay, I kind of agree with Councilor Mankey in that I don't know if delaying it makes a lot of sense to redo the contract language. The amount is going to be the same. It's just a matter of how it's paid out. As long as the hours are going to be tracked anyway, and we're going to move forward, you know, we have the resolution on the table. We're going to have to vote on it either way, but I'm okay with moving it forward as is. It was already reviewed by the town attorney and brought forward. Councilor Minor?
Yeah, again, to reiterate, I'm not against the proposal. My concern, and this is the first time that I'm addressing it specifically, is versus hours worked versus retainer. And that's the only concern I have. You know, this was a solicitation that was made to the town. I think would benefit the town without question. The fee schedule, I think, is reasonable, but that was my only concern. And again, I have had questions that have been posed to me of, did we go out to solicit this in an RFP? And the answer was no. So that's my only concern. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to weigh in before we go to a vote? Okay, we have a motion on the table and we have a second, so we'll move ahead with a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Pedrego,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
8-0.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Sonic Group, Sonia and Nick, we look forward to hearing back from you all as you get started, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you
Likewise.
very much for the opportunity. It's our pleasure.
Okay, talk to you soon. All right, next on our agenda this evening is the annual suspense list. In accordance with Connecticut General Statute 12-165, each municipality has a suspense tax book, which at least once per year, the revenue collector has to provide information to us regarding the annual suspense list. Upon review and receipt of the list, the council has to, may act to designate the taxes as uncollectible and transferred by the revenue collector to the suspense tax book. Such actions in no way constitute, and this is underlined for us because this is a question that comes up every year. This action does not in any way constitute an abatement of any tax so transferred, but as with any such tax remains subject to interest, penalty, fees, and charges that may be collected by the revenue collector in the future. So it doesn't, alleviate the burden of the taxpayer. It's really just moving it to a different way of accounting for it. Janet, did you want to expand any more on that?
No, just to let you know that when Corinne does her monthly reporting, she does have in there the amount that's collected off the suspense list, just to let everybody know, but there is amounts collected on a monthly basis.
Okay, right, okay. Yeah, so it's not that we're not collecting on them, it's just the way
Correct.
it's before. Okay,
Definitely.
all right.
And Mayor,
Yes,
there was one error. You may not have noticed it in the memo, but on the original memo you received, this dollar amount at the top of it was actually listed as last year's suspense amount. So the correct amount is correct on this sheet, showing $123,855.48.
okay, great. Thank you for drawing our attention to that, James. All right, folks, we have, there are two resolutions in the packet to address this. Who would like to go ahead and read that first one in for us?
I'll do it.
Thank you. I'm not sure who said that. Sorry.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes a transfer in the amount of $123,855.48 to the suspense tax book for the list year 2016. Wait a minute, 2018-2019. This action is being taken upon the recommendation of Corinne Adlander, Revenue Collector, as shown in the revised report dated June 15th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes,
8-0.
thank you. And Councilor Menke, would you continue with the second part?
Certainly. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes the outstanding balance from the 2005 grand list in the amount of $8,418.38 be removed from the town's receivable assets as of June 30th, 2021, as per the recommendation of Corinne Adlander, Revenue Collector, as shown in the revised report dated June 15th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion on this resolution? All right, seeing none, we'll move to roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes,
8-0.
thank you. Next item on our agenda this evening is the new ambulance purchase. In our packet, we received the memo. We did discuss this previously, that we had reviewed the quote on March 20th, 2021 for our review. Mr. Mangan had reviewed this with us at our last meeting. The purchase of the vehicle would consist of an entire new vehicle for the Newington Emergency Medical Services, and The lovely news that I see in this new memo is that we would be able to use the COVID grant to complete this purchase. That's wonderful news. Mr. Chapman, do you want to add anything to this?
I would turn it over to Janet. She's been working hard to figure this out with the COVID money. So Janet, could you update council?
Sure. I've sat through, I can't tell you how many different seminars and then telling us how we can use this money. Some being very liberal, some being very restrictive, but this is definitely something that qualifies. It's related to the medical health of our community. It's related to COVID. So it definitely falls into the realm of everywhere I heard that we can purchase this vehicle, either purchase it directly ourselves for them or give them a sub grant to purchase it. I let you know that just yesterday we received the first half of this funding through the state pass through. If you hadn't heard, it's 4.4 million is half of it that we just got. So in total, we're going to be getting 8.8 million, half of it this year and the other half in a year from now. So we're gonna, I think we'll be back to you with a list of different programs. Probably everybody says the same thing. You have to put down, plan out how you're thinking of using it and bring it to your legislative body to look over. So in probably the next couple months or so, you're going to start seeing some ideas start coming through.
This is really wonderful news. Thank you for the update, Janet. Councilor Minor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Janet, was the intent, I know you just touched on it, to use it as a pass-through with them being a nonprofit, or are we going to do this as a municipal purchase through the health and safety of the residents? How are you looking at it?
We're going to be using or doing this, the way that they had it set up is probably the cleanest route for us to do is do a sub grant to them and grant them the money as a nonprofit to be able to purchase it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilor Menke.
Yeah, I'm not sure if anybody from the ambulance is here, but if we approve this today, obviously, how long before the ambulance is actually on the road?
It takes a long time to build this type of a piece of equipment. It'll be several months or more before that vehicle is delivered to the town.
So just like a fire apparatus, we would build it to suit our town's needs or our department's needs. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. You know, these are specialized pieces of equipment that they're not built on an assembly line. They're individually built. So it takes a long time. And with the way things are with parts, like right now with the chips that are not coming in for all the automobiles in the country, anything like that may hold up the delivery of this. But let's hope it moves along quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Pedreco.
Yeah, Janet, actually, I was going to ask you what our total amount of the COVID relief funds is, and it's wonderful. I actually didn't think it was going to be that much. But no, I definitely do think that this is a valid and much needed use of those funds. It has everything in there, health of our residents, you know, going towards an organization that really responded, was hit, I'm sure, very hard throughout the whole COVID crisis, and will be, you know, God forbid if another one comes through. It's inclusive and equity in terms of servicing all people in the community, regardless of income or status. So this definitely is a great purchase. I'm just wondering though, I can't remember. I'm just curious as to what the cost of this you anticipate.
The cost is going to be in the range of about $225,000 in that ballpark.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I don't think we've read the actual motion in yet. Deputy Mayor Pedreco, would you go ahead and read that for me?
Sure. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby authorizes Keith Chapman, Town Manager, to execute all documents necessary for the purchase of a new ambulance for the Newington Volunteer Ambulance Corporation with grant funding. A copy of the executed contract shall be attached to this resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Menke. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is the Board of Education CIP transfer request to address the Martin Kellogg boiler room chimney replacement. This was discussed at our previous meeting. The Board of Education is asking basically for us to transfer funds for them to be able to use from the school CIP fund balance to Martin Kellogg boiler room chimney in the amount of $100,000. We do have a motion in our packet. It is one motion, even though it looks like two, it to be read in as one. Who would like to go ahead and read that in for me?
I'll do it.
Thank you, Councilor Donahue. You're muted. I don't know what happened. You were not a second ago.
And I work for IBM. Go figure that one. Certification. In accordance with section 808 of the town charter, I hereby certify that there exists free from encumbrances in the following appropriation in the school CIP fund, the amount listed below. Account number 3003-499, school CIP fund balance, amount 100,000. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers all of the above certified funds in the school CIP fund to the following account. Account number 31193-88159, Martin Kellogg Boiler Room Chimney, amount $100,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Menke. Discussion. Councilor Menke?
Yes, I have a quick question. This is to both take down the old chimney and replace and build a new chimney. Is that correct?
Lou's on with us, right?
I see Lou is on. Yes, if you could maybe.
Okay.
This contract is just for the demolition of the chimney itself. The remainder of rebuilding the breaching and the new sheet metal system will be paid through the board operating budget.
Okay.
Okay, because the memo says it's to utilize to repair the boiler room chimney.
Well, it's to demolish it is actually what the contract is going to be for.
Okay.
Are you all set, Councilor Menke?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Any other council questions, comments? I kind of unrelated, but is it, I don't even know how to form my question. So the rebuilding of the chimney is out of the operating budget. Is there an account for that?
That'll be through this maintenance program.
Got it. Okay. Any other council comment or question? This is really just a transfer of funds at this point. Councilor Minor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just real quick, Lou, is there a hazardous material abatement component to this demolition?
Very minor. It's already happened. All it was clearing the ash from the base of the chimney flue. And that was a $300 item to do that.
Okay, and it's 100,000 for the demolition?
Yes.
The flue? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Minor. Any other council comment or question? All right, we'll move to a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
right. Oh, go ahead.
Just thank you. So,
Sorry, Lou. I didn't mean to cut you off. Thanks for sticking with us. It was a long one, I know. Thank you.
no problem.
All right, on to new business. This evening, we have two items. Both are requesting waivers for us to take action this evening. So I figured I would just address that before we even get into them. The rationale for the waiver requests is that these are funds that are in this year's fiscal budget. So the action needs to be taken prior to the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of this month. We don't have another meeting scheduled prior to the end of the month. So that is why the waivers are being requested. If I'm incorrect or you want to add anything, Janet, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, the first transfer, the one for the fire department, it's because it's specifically because it's a CIP account. So if we don't get it in now, we have to wait all the way until next January. What ended up happening with this one is they put in the request for CIP for painting for 40,000, but they didn't add the other items they wanted to do, which included the roof and the doors. And the account that the money specifically in is called interior exterior firehouse painting. So roof and doors don't fall under that. So we need to move it over. And if we don't move it over now, they have to wait till next spring to do any of that work.
Okay, so basically we were just too specific on it.
Well, they didn't, they kind of lacked some details on that one.
Okay, fair enough. So in your packets, this is the CIP transfer request for the fire department. And Janet just explained that it was really that the item in the CIP was very specific to what it was to be used for, and they have some other things they want to use it for. So Councilor Minor, I see your hand up.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we take this up the last meeting as new business? Or am I mistaken on that? I swear we did.
No, we didn't. I'm looking.
Okay.
I've got it. Yeah. No,
All right.
no.
I'm just thinking of it somewhere else. Okay.
No,
we did talk about it when we did the transfer of the 40,000 into this account so they could do it this spring.
Yeah. Okay. That's what
That
it was.
that was a couple meetings ago. Yes. So
all right. Thank
that's
you.
that's probably why it sounds familiar.
Yeah, I'll tell you both of these, this one and the next one, the fire department apparatus. I feel like we've talked about both of them a number of times, but yet they were never officially on the agenda to address exactly what they were. That's why they're under new. But they're both things that we've certainly been aware of previously. All right, so the first thing we need to do is, let me just turn my packet here. In our packets, we have the resolution to go ahead and waive based on council rules of procedure, and then we have the actual resolution. So first, I'll entertain the motion to waive.
A motion to waive.
Go ahead. If you could just read it, it's on the screen, Councilor Camillo.
Resolved, the Newington Town Council, in accordance with Section 11 or State Statute 11 of the Town Council rules and procedures adopted February 11, 2020, hereby moves to allow action on the agenda item 8A to authorize Janet Murphy, Director of Finance, to establish the expense line of the fire department building improvements and to transfer the encumbered funds as listed below.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Councilor Donahue. And discussion on the waiving? Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Councilor Braverman,
Yes.
Councilor Budraco,
Yes.
Councilor Camillo,
Yes.
Councilor Donahue,
Yes.
Councilor Mankey,
Yes.
Councilor Minor,
Yes.
Councilor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, so we are in agreement to go ahead and take action on this. So the next resolution is the resolution at hand. Who can go ahead and read that for me, please? Councilor Nagel?
Certification in accordance with Section 808 of the Town Charter. I hereby certify that there exists, free from encumbrances, in the following appropriations in the CIP fund, the amounts listed below. Account number 30235-88733. Firehouse interior exterior painting, $23,500. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds in the CIP fund to the following account, account number 31120-88105, Fire Department Building Improvements, $23,500.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Camillo. And because we waived the rules on this, I'm going to open it up to public participation on this resolution. Any member of the public can join the discussion by raising their hand in the Zoom application in the participants window or star 9 on your phone. We'll just give it a second to see if anybody wants to jump in. I don't see any hands raised. We'll move on to council comment on this one. And seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Boudreaux,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the lease purchase financing for the fire department apparatus. Again, a waiver is requested on this one. It's hard as a council. I know we've discussed this, even though it's under new business this evening, it's because of the specific nature of it. But in April of 2021, we, the town council, adopted the capital improvement plan, which encompasses the equipment reserve fund. With that action, we had authorized funding for the replacement of the 1997 aerial T2 by the fire department. The equipment reserve fund anticipated financing a lease purchase through an annual expenditure of $177,424 through the fiscal year 2026-2027. You'll see in your memo that the selection of the Pierce Manufacturing for this piece of apparatus was done through the Houston Galveston Consortium bidding process. I know that a question had arisen previously about, bidding or how we were going through the process, but it was through the Houston Galveston Consortium bidding process. And so the motion before us this evening is, the one in your packet is an old version. There was a new one that was sent out in an email to all of us today, a revised resolution. The first action we need to do is to waive the rules to take action this evening. So I would go ahead and ask that someone read that first resolution and to waive the rules.
I'll do it.
Councilor Braverman, go ahead.
Okay, resolved. The Newington Town Council, in accordance with Section 11 of the Town Council Rules of Procedure adopted February 11, 2020, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 8B to authorize the lease purchase for a 2021 custom heavy-duty aerial platform with velocity cab and related equipment from Pierce Manufacturing Incorporated.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Mankey. Discussion on waiving. All right, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Boudreaux, Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, thank you. Next, we have the resolution before us that would allow us to move forward with the lease purchase agreement. It looks like the total amount, Janet, you can chime in here if you'd like. It should be no greater than 815,000.
Correct. So just to give you a little history on this, this probably sounds familiar because a couple, maybe not even quite 2 months ago, we did have a request to do the transfer with the funds in this year's operational to purchase the first half of this, which was the chassis, which they've already started working on and we've put payment in. We went out to RFP to find a lease company to do the second half of this for the $815,000. The results came in the beginning of June, but unfortunately we hadn't awarded it before your first meeting in June. That's why we're looking for the waiver here, because we have to have all the documents signed to this lease company that won the bid by the by July 5th. So that's kind of why we're asking for the waiver on this also. It did come in at a 1.22%, which is awesome. And it actually came in a little bit below what we had budgeted for lease payments.
Wonderful. Councilor Minor, I see your hand up. Did you want to read the resolution in?
No, just one quick question. I'll read the resolution. That's fine. I just had one question real quick for Janet.
Sure.
Do we have any eligibility through the CARES Act money for this purchase as well, under the same premise?
Health and wellness, we could maybe think of this one stretching it for more for first responders like fire and police. They look more to actually give them pay than to actually buy equipment.
Okay.
The ambulance, because it's directly related to going and picking up, and dealing with COVID patients and everything, the wear and tear that went on it is more of a direct linkage to it.
Okay. No, that's fine. You want me to read?
That was a good question, Chris. I was thinking the same thing. My fingers were crossed, but.
Yeah, well, I think there's enough other opportunities for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you would go ahead and read that in, that'd be great.
All right. Whereas the town of Newington, the town issued a request for proposal for a lease purchase financing for 2021 custom heavy-duty aerial platform with Velocity cab and related equipment. The equipment from Pierce Manufacturing Incorporated, and whereas Bank Funding LLC, or its designee assignee, the leaseor, submitted the lowest responsible bid to lease the equipment, and whereas the town desires to acquire the equipment and enter into a lease purchase agreement to finance the equipment with the leaseor, and now therefore be it resolved that the acquisition of the equipment is hereby approved. The bid of the leaseor to finance the equipment is hereby accepted. And 3, the town manager is hereby authorized to enter into a lease purchase agreement, the lease with the leaseor for the lease of the equipment for a period of no more than 5 years, and to determine the principal amount.
John. Chris, are you still there? Councilor Minor?
Can you hear me now?
There you are. You cut off at 5 years and to determine the principal amounts.
All right. Date, terms, and other details of the lease subject to the following limitations. The amount to be financed under the lease shall be no greater than $815,000 payable in semi-annual installments of principal and interest of an interest rate of approximately 1.22%. At the end of the lease term, provided all payments required under the lease, including the payments of rent, have been made, the town may purchase the equipment for an amount not more than $1. The lease will include a non-appropriation of funds clause, allowing for termination in the event that sufficient funds are not appropriated to make the payments of rent each year. And be it further resolved that the town manager, director of finance, and other officers or employees of the town, or any one of them as appropriate, are hereby authorized to appoint a bank or trust company to act as an escrow agent and to take such action, to make such representation and covenants, and to execute and deliver such contracts, financing statements, agreements, and documents, including but not limited to an escrow agreement and tax regulatory agreement as determined to be necessary or described to enter into and secure its obligations pursuant to the lease, to ensure the exemption of interest paid on the lease is free from taxation under the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, and to purchase the equipment, and that the execution of such contracts, financing, statements, agreements, and documents shall be conclusive evidence of such determination. Be it further resolved that the town reasonably expects to incur expenditures in connection with a project for which a general functional description is provided above. The town reasonably expects to reimburse itself for such or for the cost of such expenditures with the proceeds of the obligation described above. The maximum principal amount of such obligation is not expected to exceed $815,000. This declaration of official intent is a declaration of official intent made pursuant to Treasury Regulations, Section 1.1.50.
Thank you, Councilor Minor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Camillo. Any further discussion on this one?
Jen, and I know I saw the figure somewhere, the overall unit cost as a whole.
Was approximately 1.5 million.
Thank you.
Councilor Mankey?
Yeah, maybe someone could just educate me. What is the Houston Galveston Consortium bidding process?
That is a municipal entity organization based out of Houston, Galveston area in Texas. What they do is they have a consortium of municipalities from around the country that basically have procurement bidding for just about anything and everything from, toilet paper to fire trucks. So they pre-bid everything and you're able to, as a municipality, pay a service fee to become a member of the organization. And you can utilize the procurements within their consortium.
And then I guess the assumption is then you get a better deal because they represent a lot. So if we're buying a fire truck, there's other people buying fire trucks across the country and they get a better deal because they bundle them all together.
That's the theory, correct? Yeah, okay. You'll have minor changes from specific pieces of equipment
from department to department, but
yeah, but
so
they have the base units.
So then when it goes out to bid, the company says, "Well, I'm getting a bid for 5 trucks as opposed to 1, so I can do a better deal on the 5 trucks."
Correct. This is almost utilizing either a federal or state bid per se, but they have just procurement for about everything and anything.
Thank you.
Tim, if I may just add on to what Chris was saying, this is the wave of the future in regards to purchasing of materials and supplies and equipment. Each municipality years ago used to take days and weeks and months writing specifications that were almost mirror images of other communities that were writing similar specifications. And it's been realized over the years that working together, just like we're trying to do on a regional basis, now we do some purchasing on a national basis. It's just much more efficient, and it works to our advantage because the vendors can purchase multitudes of supplies to fit these trucks, and they know that they're going to be identical in many, many respects. So it's a much better way to purchase these types of vehicles. So, and other pieces of equipment. So you'll see more and more of this in the future, I'm sure.
Thank you.
I'm going to open it up for public comment as well on this item. As we are waiving the rules, we always open it up to public for our council rules of procedure. Ms. Lyons. Whoop, hold on 1 second. I pushed the wrong button. Are you there, Ms. Lyons?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 tries got me there. I missed some of this because I was interrupted by a phone call, but this is the second half of a fire truck that's being purchased. And it's all going to be purchased in this fiscal year, though. It's going to be taken care of and they're going to be able to get what they need, correct? If so, fine. I think they need it. I think we need it. And thank you for working on this to make it happen.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Yes, this is the chassis of the vehicle.
No,
So,
no,
oh, I'm
the lease-
sorry.
The lease is for the second half, the build out. The transfer you did a couple months ago, that was for the chassis.
That was for the chassis. So the chassis was already done.
Yep.
This is to equip the vehicle. So this is a separate purchase.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Got it backwards. Sorry about that.
Got to have the chassis first.
It makes sense. Tim, go ahead. Councilor Mankey, go ahead. Sorry.
So we already have a chassis sitting someplace with our name on it, I guess, right?
They're working on it as we speak.
Okay. And when they marry the chassis to the body, how long will that take?
I'm gonna defer, maybe Chris knows a little bit more about this, but I'm thinking this is gonna take a little while. We probably won't have this for maybe, I don't know, 8 months to a year.
Okay.
That would be the earliest. Honestly, I wouldn't expect to see it for a year to maybe even closer to 18 months.
Yeah.
There's a substantial build time to build them.
Yeah.
Because they build it then to our specifications in a sense. I mean, everybody has a fire truck with probably the same equipment on it, but we decide what goes in compartment A and what goes in compartment B and what goes in compartment C, right?
Yeah, they're very specifically built to the specifications of the municipality. The benefits of the consortium is the base units are there, so you can modify off of that. But yeah, the units are specifically built to the specifications for the town.
Thank you.
Delivery on this unit is expected in the autumn of 2022.
Sounds like you were right, Councilor Minor.
16 months from now.
Yeah, and if you want to buy an engine, there's a shorter lead time, but the flat trucks are a lot more time.
All right, are we all set with discussion on this item, folks? I don't see any other hands up. We'll go ahead with roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Bedrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
Wonderful, thank you. Next item this evening is resignations and appointments. We actually have 2 resignations before us this evening. The first is a resignation, Kathy Mickett Piombo, who is resigning as a member of the 150th Anniversary Steering Committee. Councilor Mankey.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Kathy Millett Palumbo as a member of the 150th Anniversary Steering Committee in accordance with email correspondence dated June 7th, 2021, and effective immediately.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Bedrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
Okay. Next is a resignation of Maxwell Turgeon from Conservation Commission as an alternate. Councilor Mankey?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Maxwell Turgeon as an alternative member of the Conservation Commission in accordance with email correspondence dated June 16th, 2021, and effective immediately.
Second.
Councilor Mankey, can you just amend that to June 15th?
I'm sorry, June 15th, 2021. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Councilor Donahue, you second that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this one? All right, roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Bedrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, moving on. The next item is refunds And we have approval of the June 22nd, 2021 refunds of overpayment of taxes. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, please.
Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $241.96 are hereby approved in the individual amounts and for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Menke. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Bedrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
All right, next is minutes of previous meetings. We have before us the June 8th, 2021 regular meeting minutes. I would entertain a motion to accept those as written.
So moved.
Moved by Counselor Menke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Nagel. Thank you. Any discussion on those? All right, seeing none, we'll move to roll call vote, please.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Bedrejko,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
8-0.
Okay, next is written and oral communications from the town manager. Mr. Chapman?
Yes, what I'm pleased to report is that after a year of not having staff meetings because of COVID, we are going to have our first staff meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning to bring everybody back together so we can function as a full team now. And it's been very difficult, and I have to compliment the staff. They've worked remarkably well under extreme conditions with very little guidance because of our, communication restrictions. So I'm pleased to report that is happening tomorrow, as well as the mentoring program with the Buckley High School out of Hartford. We're introducing the students tomorrow at the staff meeting. They will have an orientation prior to the staff meeting, and they will start working for the town July 1st. And I'm really looking forward to this. This will give us an opportunity to really show well, I think, for our staff, as well as help these students achieve everything that they possibly can. So it's a good time right now.
That's wonderful news. I'm glad we're getting moving on that. We started talking about that long before COVID, so it's been a long time in the coming. So I'm glad it's getting started. It's wonderful news. And I'm glad that the staff is able to get back together again and all be together. It'll be great. Counselor Minor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just looking to see, Keith, if you can give any updates in terms of where we left off. John had made some inquiries on some Vision Point issues related to NCTV, and my question of actually having in-person council meetings again. Do you know what the status is of the Zoom equipment?
I don't have an update from the last time we discussed it. I know there has been discussions with the NCTV leadership and Paul Rutat and Vision Point. Maybe Councilor Donahue, you could give us an update if he's available to do so.
Yeah, I can certainly give you an update. We've been between our vendor, Access AV, and Vision Point. We're still waiting for some equipment from, I'm going to slaughter the name, Celestron or something. And that equipment that we're trying to get from Celestron is now back ordered for what they're telling us 10 weeks. So our vendor is trying to come up with the equipment to see if we can work out some, compromise, get the equipment in and, see what they can work out. So those notes have been going back and forth. So I'm hoping it's not 10 weeks. I hope we can work something out. If we really, really need to get back into the chamber, hey, we'll go old school. We'll throw a camera in the back of the room and, record it that way. But
I will just add that I talked with James as recently as today concerning the governor's orders on how meetings are to be handled over the next year, and it is a monster of a project. James, do you want to pipe in on some of the key points?
Where to start is really the question. So the governor's orders, the executive orders, he attempted to have them all codified as separate bills. Now, it didn't happen that way as we planned. What ended up happening was the end of year implementer bill, which is 837 pages long, placed some requirements on the town. It effectively creates 3 types of meetings: a special meeting individually that allows for a hybrid format, a virtual meeting as we're doing right now, and then a hybrid in-person meeting. Now, the hybrid in-person meeting makes it extremely difficult, and we're hoping to find out if there's going to be some financial implementers with this as well, because there are requirements in it that make the town have to come up with electronics to allow a member of the public who may not have one and wants to participate or attend in some way electronically. We have to supply them with that material and a location to do it in. So that's some information we're still trying to flush out with the state and with our representatives, and we're still actually waiting to hear back from FOI on it as well as to how all of that is going to come together. I've actually been working on a small breakdown of all of the requirements. There are new requirements for notices as well as agenda postings and reduced time periods. So there is a lot going on with this bill and the language that was approved by the legislature. So I think it'll be a really good discussion when we bring them next month at some point to really get their take on what they were planning to do with all of this. But it is something we'll be discussing tomorrow morning in the staff meeting to try and make sure that staff members and liaisons to committees understand that it's going to be a bumpy ride over the next 2 months or so, getting this all worked out. I have been working closely with Paul on this as well. We've been discussing, actually even just this morning, the council chambers. I'm trying to get you guys back in there and still trying to meet all the requirements that really go into effect as of July 1st. So as soon as we have a clear definition on everything, we'll bring that up with leadership and see where we can get to.
Okay, so it's my understanding that the previous format that we've always used between broadcasting with NCTV and providing a call-in telephone number, as well as participating via Zoom on a telephone number, that would be adequate. Am I correct in that understanding or misled?
Well, there's some strange language that is in the bill specifically. One of them is based upon virtual attendance, either by a commissioner or by the public. The public, it doesn't affect us as much, but for a commissioner, say you have a quorum of 6 members, and one of those commissioners is virtual, and that commissioner gets kicked off your meeting. Now you have a meeting that has to go on hold for at minimum a half hour, attempt to pull that commissioner back on to gain your quorum, but you literally cannot start it. Like, even if you brought them back on 2 minutes later, you have to wait 30 minutes before you can continue your meeting. And if your meeting does not receive its quorum within 2 hours, then that meeting is officially has to be adjourned. So there's a lot of questions that are really still out there. And even I'm still reading through the 9 pages and trying to digest their language. But the phone could work. But again, it's not just the phone that's the problem. It's, say, it could be the council, it could be the TPZ, it could be the Conservation Commission. They want to still meet in that virtual format, and we are losing that connectivity, then we're losing our meetings. Those are all things that we really have to ensure that as a town, we're complying with the state FOI regulations and when we implement those. But that's the hardest part of this whole process. we really haven't received that direction. CCM is usually very good about sending us out information on it, and I think they're even as confused. When I spoke to the FOI education officer, Tom Hennick, he said the same thing. They're still digesting the whole implementer bill and to see how it's going to affect everything. So everybody is confused about how to really put it together and run the effective meeting, still keeping that accessibility for the public.
Okay, so one final comment. So if I understood you correct, if my connection drops and I have to log back in, that meeting is to be held for 30 minutes?
Only if you are the individual that creates the full quorum. So if there were 9 members and only one of you was on, and now we're down to 8, that meeting still can continue.
Right.
But there's also language in there to allow the chairman to make a decision and say, wait, we lost a member. Let's hold the meeting for a few minutes and pull them back in.
Okay.
If you are the individual who created the loss of quorum, then it creates a necessity to hold the meeting for 30 minutes at minimum, but no longer than 2 hours, to attempt to first pull that member back in. Then, if you're able to, you wait that 30 minutes. If you can't pull them back in, or if you can, there's a requirement in there to possibly, if it's available to you and you have accessibility for it, which most of us, if we're on our computer and virtual, have difficulties, have to post onto the website that the meeting is currently being held and when it could possibly start back up. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we're still trying to figure out.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
James, the executive order, though, we have a full year to get all of that in place, correct?
No, they actually changed that slightly with the implementer law as well. So we have between July 1st, when it's supposed to go into effect, through April 30th, 2022. Then in between that time period, there's a working group that's going to be together to determine the best way to keep this implemented. We're not quite sure what that whole makeup is going to be. I know they've got the attorneys in on it, but there are a few others that will be involved in it as well. I don't know if they're going to speak with local IT departments, which they really should. But those are all things that are still up in the air for us. But yeah, we do have that slight bridge. We had talked about it being a 1 year. This time they made it a little bit shorter based upon this. We'll work with it.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Badrego, I know you've been waiting a long time. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, that's a different topic, but I was just wondering whether Keith can update the public on, we've gotten a lot of questions and observations on the number of trucks and orange cones and road work and lines and telephone poles all over town. And, people are concerned about, what's going on their street and whether their driveway, if repairs are going to be done and who's doing what. So if you can just give us a brief summary.
Yeah, all the work that's going on is installing fiber optics. And I believe Frontier is heading that up, and they're staying within the town's right of way. And it's all being done underground. And it's going to actually improve the opportunities for those homeowners that have this system being installed in front of their homes. That it gives them another option for communications. It's a major project. It's feeding the entire town, and it has nothing really to do with the town itself. It's a utility company that has every right to do what they're doing. And there have been notices handed out at each property prior to the work being done. I know some people say they're not getting those notices. So we've asked the contractors to beef up their notifications to the public. And, it's being done throughout the whole town. And a lot of utility work is being done in many areas. right now. So it's just a matter of being patient and understanding that this is to improve for the residents of our town, the way in which they can receive communications and networking and so forth. So not anything we can say you can't do in the town of Newington. It's their rights to be able to do this.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Donahue?
Yeah, James, this is just a clarification. The third option for a meeting is we would have to supply a laptop or a smartphone to anybody who wanted to attend a meeting electronically that didn't have a device.
Correct. So if they request it within 24 hours of the meeting that they need access and they don't have a device of their own in order to do it, we're required then to determine a location as well as supply them with the device to allow them to attend and participate in the meeting.
This is one of those unfunded mandates.
I was going to say it sounds like a state written document. That's okay. All right.
There is.
So little things we have to work out.
Well, if they have school children, they can use their iPad or their laptop, right?
Their Chromebooks.
Chromebooks. There you go.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So in terms of us going back live, which was the original question, is there any chance of us getting there anytime soon?
I am working with my vendor to see what we can do to get the chambers up and running.
Okay.
All right. And on the tail end of that, we still have a little bit of work to do in the studio, which we can't test yet because I don't have the parts.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we're moving in that direction.
And even as far as the council chambers go, while Councilor Minor, Annis, and Braverman have attended in there, we really haven't flushed out how we would handle a presentation inside of that room as well. I'd handle it from my office normally or from home. So that's something we're going to have to work out as well. I know Councilor Donahue would still be able to pull our Zoom from it. So we could still effectively handle it the same way we're doing now, but now we get into additional materials, specifically an iPad that handles the public participation camera and how and if those actually tie into our Zoom properly. So lots of questions, not a lot of answers, unfortunately.
If you need a guinea pig, I'm happy to be a guinea pig for the summer.
It's funny because
Let me know.
Miss Lyons even said that she would be happy to be the public participation guinea pig for me as well.
All right. Rose and I will be a good team then. We'll get it going.
No.
All right. Are we all set, guys, with this one? Nope. Councilor Nagel?
Yeah, just a minor thing having to do with the lines being put up throughout town, just for the community at large to be aware of, and also for Keith in case he gets any complaints beyond whatever he may have received also. Because it's such a large project, whatever, they have materials that like zip ties that sometimes aren't picked up in the lawn. I found some on mine and they're a dark color. If anybody wants to mow their lawn, that can be a huge problem for them and their equipment. And also I've got some complaints about masks and so on in the area where people have been working. Just to keep just want to keep the public aware and our town manager aware of minor though major things that might come up in regards to the major work that's being done throughout town.
Okay. All right. I think we're all set with that. We'll move on to council liaison committee reports. Councilor Nagel?
Very, very briefly, I've been asked by the library to inform everybody that there are summer book sales on behalf of the Friends of the Library. They're being conducted the way previous ones have been done according to COVID when we weren't in gray. One will be held on July 11th. That's a Sunday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Sunday, August 22nd from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can contact the library in terms of details. It'll all be held outside according to COVID restrictions that I believe were in effect during when we were in orange. Also, I've been asked to remind everyone that the 5K race, usually held as a fundraiser for the library, is going to be held in October 2nd. I've given you that information before, but they want to ensure everyone that it is still on to contact the library in terms of participation or whatever. And they are following the COVID rules that existed during Code Orange, even though it's in October 2nd. Just to be certain that all bases are covered in case we don't get lucky, so to speak, when the fall comes. That's it.
All right, thank you, Councilor Nagel. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
The Environmental Quality Commission, their upcycling contest has concluded. There were 14 entries, which range from the simple to the complex, but all were creative and all were within the spirit of the contest. The winners will be announced on Monday, June 28th.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Yep, in the
Council
chambers.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we'll move on now to public participation. Any member of the public can participate. *9 if you're on your phone, and raise your hand in the participants window if you're in the Zoom app. I see Miss Lyons is ready for us.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I know you don't answer my questions or observations during this particular public participation, but in listening to what James had to say about what is going to have to happen before we can be back into the council chambers again, it's very disheartening to me. It's been over a year now, or almost over a year, I believe, since we've been in the room together. And although I have no laptop, I have no smartphone, I am able to call in on my landline, and I am able to watch on NCTV. However, the last few meetings with TP&Z, there's been one thunderstorm and another glitch that happened where I lost not only NCTV, but phone connection as well. I don't see it as much on town council, but there are public hearings being held, and in the near future, they're going to start talking about changes to Newington Junction. And I think that that's something that the public really should be able to participate in person, but if that can't be, there's got to be a way that you can bring it to the public so that they can form some opinions on what's being proposed there. So I'm asking to please give this top priority in trying to get us back up and running. I think it was almost a year ago that there was a waiving of the rules to get the monies or to get the contract with the person that was going to do the audio visual or whatever it is. I don't know if they're the ones that are having the hang up, the hold up or whatever, but I think it should be given top priority to get this up and running for the good of the public. The other thing is, I think it was a year or so ago or more that Councilor Nagel mentioned a concern of his and others regarding pedestrians crossing at the senior center, also in the center of town, and I have seen it myself, where cars just don't stop for the red lights and pedestrians. I almost saw 2 people be hit the other day at the corner of Cedar and Main Street. There is a state traffic commission sign, I believe, that says yield on red light to pedestrians or something. Not that people are going to pay attention to it, but maybe it'll catch their eye and maybe make them think twice. I was wondering if anybody had gotten in touch with the police department. I don't know who the liaison is now. I know that Lieutenant Morgan was the liaison, but I'm just hoping that somebody will start looking at the safety issues in the center of town and start addressing some of them. I know there is one woman who is blind who walks with her dog, and I cringe every time I see her trying to cross the road. But anyway, thank you very much. Everybody stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you soon. Take care. Good night.
Thank you, Rose. Good evening. Have a good evening. Okay, I don't see any other members of the public, so we will move on to remarks by counselors. Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Concerning what, Ms. Lyons just said and related to the discussion we had regarding what James and Keith were saying. Again, this is, obviously another unfunded, not well thought out requirement passed on to the towns. Perhaps, the intention was good, but as usual, the devil comes in the details, and that's where things fall apart. As someone had mentioned earlier, and perhaps it was James, I think this is something we really do need to get on our legislators about. I'm sure the legislation can be amended. It seems like it's already been amended once, if not twice. Once we find out the cost to the town, which I'm sure Keith and Janet and Paul are looking at, as well as James, get something to our legislators immediately, telling them how much it's going to cost our town, and what are they going to do about it. But secondly of all, I do believe, Janet, that this would be able to fall under COVID relief funds, because I went to a few presentations on it, and IT and equipment can fall under the rubric of COVID relief if you tie it to things such as equity and inclusiveness and reaching out to your constituents and blah, 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 blah. So if worse comes to worse, perhaps we can look into utilizing those.
Yep, you're right, Gail, because it all ties into COVID. So the whole reason for us to have this kind of communication and the technology is due to COVID. So yes, this does fall under that.
Thank you.
Great point, Deputy Mayor Bedrejko. Councilor Minor?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that remark, is that this is a funded mandate. So we have the funds to do this. We need to just do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Braverman?
There was a bear Friday night, I guess, near our condo. A couple of our people called me. I was in Chicago, so I couldn't do very much. Not that I could have done much anyway, but I don't know what the outcome was. They were going to call animal control. Keith, did you find out anything? Was there any follow-up?
There have been sightings in various areas of the town. I'm not sure if it's one bear or a number of bears, but it's not the only sightings that have been reported, and not only in Newington. There seems to be a movement underway with these animals to either look for food or relocation for their own shelter. We're not sure, but we just had another sighting this morning, as a matter of fact. So I would just recommend that people not approach these animals, and if they see them, try to gently find cover and not disturb the animals when they're out there.
All right, the bears here were going after bird feeder food.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. I think that they're looking for food, and bird feeders are not probably their choice of food, but that as last resort, they'll come closer to properties and dwellings to get bird feed if necessary.
Okay. All set, Councilor Braverman?
Well, Keith, what's our solution? What are we being more vigilant? What do we need to do?
I think it's a natural event, and I think people just should shy away from trying to approach the animals, and make sure your garbage cans are covered or put away in the garage or whatever. And I would not suggest putting bird food out at this time, or any other type of food in your yard, because that's going to draw animals if they are looking for food.
Yeah, well, condos have the dumpsters, which.
Yep, that's right. If they're left open, they're going to try to get into them. And the last thing you want to do is take your trash out and find a bear sitting in the dumpster.
Yeah.
That's what you want to find. So they should make sure the dumpster doors are closed and the area around the dumpsters are kept clean,
Right.
as well as garbage cans and trash cans.
Does animal control have a plan?
Go ahead.
All set?
Yeah, I think, well, is there a plan? I mean, what are we, by animal control or anything else, or we're just on our own sort of?
Well, I think, again, this is part of the nature that we need to take actions to protect ourselves, but we're not going to necessarily go out and shoot the bears out there. I don't think that's the answer. So it's a matter of just having due diligence and protecting yourself and not inviting these types of animals into your yards by having food of any type exposed, whether it be fresh food or garbage or whatever. I think they'll move on once their season is over. You know, it's part of, I guess, living in, you know, we have a big mountain over Cedar Mountain that has, I'm sure, all kinds of creatures that we generally don't see, but they live in harmony up there, and they may be just coming down because they're hungry. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, Councilor Donahue?
Yeah, I just want to say, Councilor Braverman, if you do go out and wrestle the bear, make sure you have somebody videotape it for us.
We'll definitely send it to you, John.
All right, thank you.
All right. I don't see any other hands up, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Menke, seconded by Councilor Braverman. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned at 9:06. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
Two.